Welcome to In Brief series, third episode, King Henry VIII. We've already shed light on the 15th century background and showed how church was corrupt. And we talked about the efforts made by Wycliffe to pave the way for the Reformation. And we discussed Martin Luther's efforts in leading the Reformation movement. Today, we're going to discuss Henry VIII's life. The Holy League. In 1512, Henry the Pope Julius II, Ferdinand of Spain, and the Venetians formed the Holy League against the King of France. When Ferdinand broke the league, Henry made peace with France. Henry aimed at holding power over the empire, but Charles V was successful. Defense of the Seven Sacraments. Henry wrote it against Martin Luther. He insisted on the supremacy of the papacy. So Pope Leo X conferred upon him the title Defender of the Faith. Submission of the clergy. Henry threatened the popes as he would prevent them from the money they collected if his divorce from Catherine of Aragon was refused. So they rudely urged Catherine to withdraw her appeal. Exposed to more pressure, the clergy practically renounced all rights of legislation except independence upon the king, a movement known as submission of the clergy. Honest men like Sir Thomas More resigned that they could not work with such a government. Pilgrimage of Grace. In 1534, there was a complete breach with Rome. Dissatisfied people were tortured and executed. However, in the autumn of 1536, the people went into insurrection known as Pilgrimage of Grace. Henry's married life and new religion. Henry refused to marry his brother Arthur's widow. However, he married her after his father's death. He executed Empson and Gidley, the helpers of the late king, who used to extort people, so the people welcomed his reign. He used religion to suit his own purposes. He was Catholic, however, he dissented to get divorce. In fact, his married life was not pure. He had a son by Elizabeth Plout in 1519. At the age of 6, he made him Duke of Richmond. He wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, so he thought of divorcing Catherine. To do this, he resorted to sordid ways. He made efforts to prove that his marriage to Catherine was never consummated. He petitioned a dispensation to contract a marriage to any woman, even in the first degree of affinity. This crisis resulted in Wolsey's disgrace, the cardinal who tried to help Henry achieve his mean purpose. Cromwell and Cranmer. Cromwell and Cranmer rose at that time. Cranmer suggested that the king should have consulted universities of Europe upon the question of nullity of his marriage to Catherine. Bribed and pressed, the universities were in the king's favor. Cranmer was rewarded as he became ambassador to the empire, then Archbishop of Canterbury. Cromwell suggested to the king that he should have thrown off papal supremacy and made himself the supreme head of his own religion. Threatened and pressed, the clergy urged Catherine to withdraw her appeal. At the age of Archbishop Warham in 1532, Cranmer was appointed archbishop. Anne was pregnant and Henry married her in 1533. Cranmer declared that Henry's ex-marriage was invalid and his marriage to Anne was valid. Anne gave birth to Queen Elizabeth on September 7th of 1533. Catherine was deprived of her title, and her daughter Mary was bastardized. People sympathized with Catherine and her daughter. Henry's cruelty was imposed even on those who were near him. Anne and Catherine, his second and sixth wives, perished on the scaffold. Even Cromwell was sent to be executed. Henry-Jane Seymour marriage was considered the first legal one. Catherine, the first legal wife, died in 1536, the same year Anne was executed. So the king, now a widow, could marry legally. He married Jane Seymour and she gave birth to Edward VI. Jane was conservative in her religion. She was nice to Mary and Elizabeth. In 1540, Henry got married to Anne of Cleves. Then Henry married Catherine Howard. In 1543, Henry married Catherine Parr. He died from an infection in 1547 at the age of 55. Note that Henry's decision to break with Rome would dictate England's foreign policies for the next 2 centuries. The throne passed to his son Edward VI, the subject of our next episode.